we guarantee you will reach financial security. And if within the 3 years that we think it will take, if you haven't achieved the figure that you told us you wanted, we will continue to work with you entirely free of charge, stick by your side, help you to get to that objective. So in other words then, if you join Wealth Builders and stay the course, you will be wealthy.
Welcome to our first episode of 2025. I'm Christian Rodwell, Membership Director at Wealth Builders, and I'm thrilled that you're here with me today. Now, whether you've been with us since 2019 or this is your first episode, if you're not yet currently generating the asset income to live life on your terms, today could change that. Now, last week, Kevin and I hosted a live webinar revealing how our members escape the time for money trap by building cash flow from just 7 assets. And we'll share all of that with you today. Now, financial security is achievable, and the sooner you start, the faster you'll see results. In fact, we guarantee that if you work with us and don't achieve financial security in 3 years, then we will work with you for free until you do. Now, you've got absolutely nothing to lose. So listen closely to today's episode. And if you think Wealth Builders could be the right fit for you, head to www.wealthbuilders.co.uk/membership to apply for a call with me or Kevin. Now, let's make 2025 the year that you take control of your financial future. How to create multiple income streams and break free from the time for money trap. Our aim today is to show you that there are 7 and only 7 assets that you can use to create recurring income, that if you follow a clear plan, it's absolutely possible to achieve financial security within 3 years, and that we have a tried and tested process which our members follow, which we are going to share with you. Before we do that, let me just introduce myself a little bit more. I'm the Membership Director at Wealth Builders, been running my own businesses since 2014, helping people to break free of that time for money trap, and have recorded many podcasts and written a book, and you can see all that information there on screen. And Ken, we've known each other a long time. We joined forces, but you've been mentoring for a long, long time.
Yes, I've been around a long time. You can tell by the wizened expression, can't you really? But I love recurring income businesses. I've got multiple of them, and that's not to show off. That's just to demonstrate that I live exactly what it is that I teach. And also I love to speak. So I love to write. I love to create podcasts. I obviously work on the podcast together with you, Chris, and just love to give lots of information for free so people can get to know us, get to know what our culture is, get to know what our values are, and ultimately to decide whether they think they're a right fit to come and work with us. And of course, we need to know that you're a right fit too.
Let's have a look at the Wealth Builders Academy, which is something that we formed in 2019. And for many, many years, you've been mentoring people one-to-one, all of that amazing IP and experience that you were able to pass on, but you wanted to expand that and help more and more people. And that's why we created the Wealth Builders Academy, so that we could actually put all of that information into a format, program, course that someone can follow and follow that step-by-step process. And that is one we've now helped hundreds of our members to achieve financial security.
And that was a big change, Chris, to be honest, because mentoring with people is more expensive because you can only do it one-on-one. And I've done a lot of that. But working with you, taking almost a university degree approach to the process to get good education, to put support in there, have coaches and guides in there, to make it easy and accessible and to follow, but different from any other sort of academy where we'll guarantee the result for you. And we'll show you later that we actually have a triple guarantee that says if we're a right fit for each other, we'll guarantee that you'll be a wealthy person.
And we say there financial security. So 3 years, Kev, breaking that down to 36 months doesn't sound that long. And it isn't, is it?
It's not long. It's better than 36 years trying to stick money into the stock market, hope for the best, and one day, someday it works. Bit more of a challenge. Yes, it can be genuinely done. I mean, you can reach financial security in 3 years. That's about the length of time since we came out of COVID, Chris. And certainly for most people, they can be independent within around 5 years, which is when COVID started. If you look back in March 2020, if you think about that, in just 3 to 5 years, you could be set for life. And it's genuinely doable, but you have to change your paradigm. And that's what we're hoping to do, to help you break free, not just of the time for money trap, but the time for money mentality, which is fundamentally what holds people back.
And whether you've got a young family or a grown-up family or no family at all, the process still works. And just to be more specific about who we actually work with and really enjoy working with, you may be an employee. So you might currently be working and you perhaps enjoy your job, or perhaps you don't. Either way, you most likely are reliant on one source of income, and that's time for money. So if you don't turn up for your job, then you won't earn the money that you perhaps need to live a comfortable lifestyle. So many people think, hang on, I can do this job myself. And then they become self-employed, often finding that they're ending up working twice as long for half the amount of money. And that's okay, but still very much reliant on one source of income and feeling often trapped in that business as well.
Yeah, they often get trapped by the very freedom they try and create for themselves. We know this because the coaches, the consultants, the hands-on practitioners that we deal with realize very quickly that it's leverage that's missing. They can do what they want to do and sack their boss, which is great. But of course, sometimes when you go to work for yourself, you end up working for a lunatic and you're not really focused on building ongoing wealth to get you out of that. Because ultimately, as Warren Buffett says, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you'll end up working, he says, until you die, which is a bit of a bold statement.
And we also work with business owners. So if you're a business owner, and that could be a traditional business, or equally, maybe you've got a property business, many, many ways to help you leverage your assets and expand beyond just the business, because we know business owners get very focused on just the business, when actually there's a whole mountain of other assets that could be leveraged.
Yeah, and when you do the maths, as I do as an economist, only 0.1% of business owners in the UK sell for more than £1 million. In other words, what you would call a reasonable sum of money. That's a fraction of the percentage who hope to sell. So most business owners don't sell. What we show people is how to get the corporation tax that they're paying back and then lock that in to another structure that allows them to build their wealth alongside their business. So while we won't be covering all the details of that today, we do know business inside out and we do know property inside out. I just want to say something very bold and very outright that yes, we're trying to help you understand whether this would be a good fit for you. And we will invite you to decide whether you want to come and work with us. So I'm expecting that you're here, not just to understand who we are and what we do, but to see for yourself if it's the right fit. Inevitably, there's going to be some form of offering to you. And if you want to hold on to the end, you'll see why we believe it's absolutely irresistible.
Well, here's one of our members who joined us not that long ago. We talked about 3 years, goes very, very quickly. And this is Steve. Now, Steve has been running his own IT business for many years, but he's been feeling quite trapped in that business, very busy. And it's a good business. But after joining WealthBuilders, he's managed to streamline his processes with the support of our team and our coaches, systemizing things and giving him more time back to focus on other wealth building areas. And he's actually now learned how to leverage his pension to start using that money and building up a property income stream. And he's doing very, very well. And as you can see, has already achieved financial security. And in fact, we spoke to Steve not that long ago, and he's well on his way to achieving financial independence, I would say within the next 12 to 24 months now.
Yeah, and he doesn't look anywhere near his late 50s or 60s, does he really? So it is worth focusing on some of these skills, even if you just take the paradigm shift and apply some of these lessons for yourself.
I'll also add that Steve has got a family and he's really enjoyed passing on some of the wisdom and the lessons that he's been learning with his wife onto his children. And that's another part of what we offer at WealthBuilders is the education for the next generation.
I think the next generation, Chris, I'm a granddad now, and my grandkids will live to 100 years of age. That's the statistical average that's coming. And they need to be better equipped for a life that's longer lived. And we know how hard it is for the next generation to get on the property ladder, to get out of student debt, all sorts of things. So the lessons that we learn to be great money role models is part of the process that we help our members go through.
So let's get clear on one thing, shall we? Would you like to explain?
Yeah, I'm a former IFA trained in the whole skill set of IFAs. And previously I used to think and imagine that the best way to build wealth was to save your money, put it in the stock market, and everything would be okay someday. The credit crunch of 2008 made me realize completely that I wasn't really serving people very well because they lost 30-40% of their wealth in a heartbeat. And I realized that that was not the best way to teach people how to build wealth. So you cannot save your way to wealth unless you either get an incredible lump sum of money or you got an incredible job and you save. But even if you do, you've got that uncertainty of trying to convert a pot of money into an ongoing income stream, maybe for 30 or 40 years. So it's assets that create the recurring income. That's the paradigm shift, not building value. So we focus on creating cash flow, not creating an accumulated sum.
We have conversations every day, and we ask the question, so maybe you're working at the moment, you've got a business. When do you want to retire? When do you want to stop doing that? And we'll be given a number, right? And then it's, okay, so where's the money going to come from? Have you actually worked out where's the future income when you decide to stop working or decide to stop working in your business? Because based on the statistics currently in the UK, for most people, it's not going to give them the lifestyle that they desire.
Well, look, we know macroeconomics is the study of the big picture. Average pension in the UK at retirement is just over 100 grand. It's not a lot for all that saving that goes on. And that will generate, on average, an income of around 4,000 a year. About 4% is what you would expect to get from some form of a pension income and maintain the value to give you a little bit of a bolster against stock market crashes, which, as I said, happened in 28, and then they'll happen again at some point. And of course, that creates a life of uncertainty and compromise. It's almost like you're building a nest egg and then you're cracking eggs to spend them. Understandably, you're going to feel like life is getting more challenging as you get older. Whereas if you've got the assets create the income and you still own the assets, then you're not spending your assets, you're spending the result of owning the assets. Somebody referred to it as living off the steam that's created from the very assets that you own. So the whole process of wealth building for me, Chris, is creating financial certainty in a world that's fundamentally uncertain. And that, again, is all part of the mindset shift. So it's important that we're spending time to help you understand there is a mindset shift that you have to make before you can build wealth, because you can't Google your way to wealth. It's not possible. So you have to make the mindset shift first.
And here's the big shift. You must focus on building and acquiring assets if you want to have more freedom in your life. And we're going to explain exactly what those 7 assets are very shortly. And assets that generate income, because a lot of people have built up assets. They're asset rich, but they're cash poor.
Yeah, there's a whole army of over 55s. I'm qualified to give advice to later life people. That's the over 55s. And so many of them have accumulated money in their property, and that's pretty much all they've done. And then they don't have any income. So they have to either downsize or tap into the equity and create a debt when they're older in order to leave a legacy or just simply to live. And we've got more over 70-year-olds going back to work for the first time ever. And it's definitely challenging times ahead for those who are not building wealth, but almost relying on an old system that's outdated now, Chris.
And if you're kicking yourself thinking, well, I wish I'd started this 5 years ago, 10 years ago, however many years ago, well, don't worry, because we weren't taught this stuff at school. I don't remember the financial lessons at school. And so the school system is not preparing us to think like this. And we're pleased to say that we are the only holistic company in the UK. And we focus on this every day. It's our passion. And we know that we can help you if this is something that you feel is the right fit for you.
Yeah. And if you're already retired, there's no problem either, because you can learn how to make the money that you've got, create more money while you sleep. But, we need to get to know you a little bit more before you do that.
At Wealth Builders, we've got 3 cornerstones: create, build, and protect your wealth. So let's have a look at what we mean by create.
Well, the principle of creation is almost getting the lowest hanging fruit. How do you get immediate leverage from something you already own? We often say we're standing on a mountain of value, but because we're looking away, we're not seeing what's right below our feet. So the starting point of anybody who works with us here at Wealth Builders is an uncovering process, digging into what you've already got. And almost always we find hidden money, lost pensions, money that's recurring income that's leaving your life instead of coming into your life. And we try and turn those things around, plug all those leaks, increase your net income, which you can then use either to eliminate debt, boost your savings if you need to do that, or more importantly, start the process of building your wealth.
And building your wealth is what we do next. So we create a bespoke plan, and that's something unique to Wealth Builders. We're not focused on any one strategy, any one pillar. We know that everyone's plan will be different. And whilst there's a try and tested path, everyone will take slightly different route. And we start with understanding you. So we need to know, what are your interests? What amount of time have you got available? What have you tried in the past? What do you currently do? What's working? What's not working? Really understanding that as a basis for it. And then the next thing is to look at what assets you perhaps have already got in your life. And the word leverage is really key when it comes to building wealth.
You can't really build wealth without using it. And that's an old school lesson, isn't it? You take a lever, you apply a force, and you move a bigger object. And that leverage is important, not just financial leverage, intellectual leverage, relationship leverage, connecting with other people. And that's another benefit of having the support, the guidance, and a wider community. And then it really, really helps to, I suppose, give you an environment of support and growth rather than if you try and do this on your own. I don't know if you've ever felt this, if you're listening. Maybe you've thought about building wealth, but been held back either by your environment or the people around you just don't see eye to eye. They're not on the same page as you. So surrounding yourself with like-minded people is an important part of the building process.
And then very, very important is the protection side of things here. We include here some aspects of protecting your family, protecting your assets. What would those be specifically?
Well, certainly it's a very powerful thing that they say on all airplanes, secure your own oxygen mask first. And it's true. When you start to build wealth, take stock of what risks you're already taking that could put your family at devastation risk. So making a will, getting your power of attorney sorted out, not ignoring them, not putting them off, getting them done so that you can pay less taxes in the future and leave an incredible legacy. Because if you're building your wealth and you own assets, and we'll talk about what they are in a minute, when you own them, they're there for life. So you need a legacy plan. And we spend a lot of time trying to help people create a family wealth plan so that the wealth isn't just money. It takes the shape almost of a limited company, an imagined one, that you then use to build wealth for the whole family and then teach the legacy and the wisdom to the next generation. So it is a long-term process, but it takes about 3 to 5 years to get the hang of it. So it's definitely not get rich quick. It's definitely not, here's a recipe that fits all. There's no, you just plug in, play. No, we have to get to know you, which means it takes time. And we'll describe what those assets are just in a moment.
Yeah, and whether you're at the start of your journey or already progressing, building some wealth already, there can be times where you're not quite sure where's the next step. And so the overwhelm can kick in. And this can lead to inactivity, inertia, as we've said before, and that can slow you down. And so we're here to really make sure that you're clear on your plan. That breeds confidence and that you've got someone to support you every month, every week with your unique wealth plan.
I'm sure there are people on the webinar now realizing they probably haven't taken some actions because they felt overwhelmed.
Oh,
it's such a common feeling, Chris.
Absolutely. So let's really start from the first target. Where we begin when we work with one of our members is to define what does financial security mean to you. So, Kevin, would you just mind explaining what we mean by financial security?
Yeah. So we're trying to generate enough recurring income so that you can meet all of your essentially monthly outgoings. So those things that have to be paid, not necessarily the luxury items, but the thing, almost if you go back to lockdown, when you couldn't do as much as you can do now, what would that figure be? And everyone's got a different figure because we've all got different outgoings. So we don't make a value judgment on what that figure is. Once you've determined what it is, and it shouldn't take too long, you can easily identify just by reviewing your own outgoings from your bank account. Everything's online these days, whatever that figure is. And then we create a plan to help you gradually, month by month, quarter by quarter, start to build recurring income from assets, not from your work, but from the assets that you start to build. And then when that reaches the level of income, covers all your outgoings, the world fundamentally changes. Because at that point, Chris, you don't really need to work to earn money. Now, you might not have everything you need, but it frees you. The time that our members spend going from, if they're employed, for example, from 5 days to 4 days, or those people who are running a business or solopreneurs, choosing a specific day to build their wealth. You don't need to spend a day at the beginning. You just need a couple of hours a week. But if once you get the hang of it, you can spend more time, which gives you more leverage. And when you apply lessons on top of lessons, assets on top of assets, you get compounding effect. So you get an exponential effect, not a linear effect. In other words, it goes and skyrockets as opposed to just goes little by little. And that's what makes the difference. And that's why the gap to security is about 3 years typically. And that's typical. But to independence, normally around about 5 years or so. So it's quicker to get to independence than it is to get to security because there are so many lessons. And like gravity, you've got to overcome it at the start.
Oh, we've all heard the term asset, but I love the way that you phrase it here. And just take a couple of seconds to really take this in and think about what true assets do you currently have in your life? An asset that will put money into your pocket every month and will remain doing that on and on and on, even when you're not here.
It's an incredible thought, isn't it? That if you can put some of the intellect that you've obviously got, if you're successful in your job or your business or your self-employment, and you could put just a little bit of that and apply that to the intellectual process of building assets, not doing work, then it will change your life forever. And there's a gradual process. And once you understand it and you start on it, then you won't stop.
So where are you currently right now? How much of your monthly income is coming from time for money and how much is coming from assets? And there's nothing wrong with time for money. There's nothing wrong with jobs and going out and earning an income. Absolutely not. But if you want true freedom, if you want to be able to have the time to spend with family, travel, not have to worry, then that's where the asset income really comes into play. And everyone has a powerful reason why. This is the catalyst. This is what pushes us on when times get tough, when we don't see progress. And I often say results are a lagging indicator. Sometimes you've got to do the work and you don't see the results straight away, but you've got to keep pushing on. And it's your reason why that will help you with that.
The reason why is an incredibly important thing. That's why we like to probe deeply into the reason why. I know it was difficult for you at the beginning, Chris, to discover your reason why. Mine was overpoweringly strong, and anybody who's read my story knows that it was born out of the tragic but earlier death of my father and my desire to be financially independent before at the age when he went of a massive heart attack. And I managed to achieve that, and I've been financially independent for 20 years now, which has given me incredible time, incredible choice. But the key thing it's given me more than anything else is control. I love the feeling of control. I love being in control. I don't have to worry if something is going wrong with the economy or the budget or changes in politics. You can be mildly inconvenienced, but never devastated. And that is the process of creating certainty when we know, look around, life just isn't. But if you've got that money coming in and you have a process to do it, then you can create that certainty for yourself.
I hope this is all making sense. I hope it's resonating with you. So let us know if some of this is reflective of your situation. Perhaps you're joining us because you're not clear. You're not exactly sure how you can get to that financial security, or maybe you're already at security and the next level for you is financial independence, but there's something stopping you. It could be all number of things. Could be lack of time, lack of resources, just lack of clarity and feeling alone, not having someone to support you, to guide you, to keep you accountable. And so let's get into really the heart of the assets. And we've talked about assets, but these are the only seven that you can use to build predictable recurring income.
Yeah. And I've wrestled long and hard with this one, Chris, and I've got a standard outreach that I have with anybody, which is if you can think of another asset, something you can own that puts money in your bank account while you sleep, then I'll add it with your permission to number 8. And I offer a very nice case of champagne for anybody who discovers it, but I haven't. So I created the 7 to help me because there were no books on the subject. So let me just describe what they are briefly. Most people have some assets in their life because, they live in a home, for example. So the first asset of home capacity is the fact that if we live in a home and we've got space around us, we can create an income if we want to. Most people, however, do not. They live in a home that takes money out of their life, normally through some kind of a mortgage. Nothing wrong with mortgages, but obviously it's not an asset if it's taking money out of your life. The second thing that most people do is they pay into a pension either personally or through their work, but they're not really paying attention to what it's doing. They're not able to add any value. So they tend to allow somebody else to manage that money, which means invariably they're paying too much in fees, and invariably they're paying a recurring income to a third party. And we know this because whenever we spend time, when I talked earlier on about uncovering hidden money, and we see the average fees people are paying, it's huge. It's about 2%. With the stock market growing on average of 6%, that's a third of your money going to somebody else to manage money. And we can show you how you can do that and learn the lessons to do that for yourself. Similarly with investments. So when you, the reason why most people get an income of around 15,000 a year, about 4,000 a year from their assets and about 11,000 from state pension, provided they paid in for long enough, is because they're not building their assets. They're putting money into accumulation. They're accumulating value in their home. They're accumulating value in their pension. They're accumulating value in their investments. They're not building cash flow. So how you do that? Now, we can revisit those three and say, well, we can show you how you could do that. But the main ways to build wealth, which are much more predictable, much easier if you learn them, is to understand property. And there are at least 20 different property strategies, not one. We're not banging a drum for one strategy over another. We understand what they all are. Creating a business that has recurring income, not a business that's trading time for money, but a business that has streams of recurring income, which means the business is valuable, whether you keep it or whether you sell it. Creating intellectual property, which means creating value and income, subscriptions and so on from the value of what you know and what you've accumulated in your intellectual life, which is why it's called intellectual property. And of course, the final one, we refer to these as pillars and we number them in this order. So pillar number 7 is joint ventures or collaborations. And it goes to the very heart of the culture that we have in Wealth Builders, which is who, not how. So when you get to a point where you're discovering or you need to discover how, there's always a who knows the answer. And often joint venturing or collaborating in some way can help you accelerate your wealth. Obviously with good due diligence and good rigor and so on, but these are parts of the process that we can help. Now, we're not saying you need 7 assets to be wealthy. You do not. We always encourage you to have 2 that you're working on at the same time. That gives you different speed of reaction, gives you different lessons to learn. So you start with 2, and then once you get to security, you can widen it beyond that. Now, if you've got the time or the money to build more than 2, great, but at least 2. And most people have 1 on the right anyway. So helping you to understand how you can turn your home, your pension, or your current investments into predictable cash flow and add another pillar to your life, that's what we do. And that's the starting process of the whole Wealth Builders approach to building wealth.
Thanks for explaining that, Kevin. I know when I first saw you present this, it really did blow my mind. I've never seen it shown in such a way. The Wealth Builders logo in the middle there is very deliberate. You've got the foundation there and you've got the roof and then the 7 pillars. And you think of any structure, if you just have one pillar, it's going to be very shaky, very risky. So the more you can have, then of course, more financially secure and peace of mind that's going to provide you with.
Well, one of anything is very dangerous. We know that. Even if you choose one of the pillars like property, for example, and what happened in 2008 with the credit crunch is debt costs went up and banks were tighter in underwriting and some people got caught where their assets just didn't work. And similarly in COVID, we had people who had property portfolios that were holiday lets, for example, and people weren't going on holiday anymore. So you have to be diverse in your approach and not just have one thing. One of anything, Chris, is dangerous.
So we know we've got lots of employees on the webinar with us today, and Richco was working as she came to Wealth Builders, and she'd started an online business, was generating some income, but it certainly wasn't life-changing, wasn't going to allow her to quit her job until she joined Wealth Builders and followed the process and identified the right combination of assets for her. And she was able to leverage some of the assets already in her life, her pension, some cash that she had, which wasn't really earning much interest for her, and started to build up a property income. And by following the process step by step, she didn't falter. She worked with her coach every month and she achieved financial security within 3 years. Now she is well on her way to financial independence and now starting multiple businesses and traveling the world.
Well, yeah, I think she's based out of Sardinia now. So having a business over there. So taking retreats, giving people an opportunity to write books and do other things in a different environment rather than being sometimes caught in the tyranny of the routine of what you do. You sometimes just don't ever get things done. So going to where she goes is a great opportunity for her to kind of deal with their wanderlust. She really loves that traveling. And I know you wrote your book in Portugal as well, Chris, didn't you? So yeah. The element of time and travel freedom is a key one for many.
Absolutely. And the term life-changing can be overused, but it truly is. It's transformational, the journey. And we've seen that from when someone joins us, Kev, slightly uncertain, slightly lacking confidence, to a few years later, absolutely on the right track, knowing that it's simply a matter of time before they hit those financial targets. It's brilliant to see. We absolutely love it. Paul's another example, working in a very, very high-powered position, lots of hours, long hours, so he didn't have a lot of time available. And again, this is where having a clear plan, working with a coach and having some accountability means that you only need to be taking small steps every month. and small steps can quickly compound to big results.
Well, yes. I mean, I remember mentoring Paul personally, and one of the big leverage points for him was he was lacking in time. So he joint ventured with somebody else who had the time, and they'd worked together before historically. And we've seen this before also with a guy up in Scotland who's teamed up with somebody else, and together they create more leverage because there's a power of 2 lots of time, 2 lots of money, 2 lots of intellect, 2 lots of actions. So you can do that either as a husband and wife, siblings, all sorts of collaborations going on that make wealth building process a lot easier.
And that's that joint venture pillar that you showed there, Kevin. And if you perhaps are lacking funds and that's been a reason that's been holding you back, then joint ventures can be a really good way, because somebody else might have the money, but they simply haven't got the time or the resource or the experience that you may be able to bring. We've shown you now that there shouldn't be anything holding you back. And we get asked, well, how much time do I need to put into this to make it work? We say on average a day a month, and that's approximately 2 hours a week, wherever you find that time from, whether it's in the mornings, in the evenings, at weekends. Obviously, that's down to you, but that's enough to see results. And if you have a clear plan, then we've said you just need to take small steps every month, and having support of the community, other people on the same page as you, speaking the same language, supporting you, inspiring you, and having a coach there to guide you and help you avoid the pitfalls. And where do we start? Well, the very first step is to actually sit down on a meeting with you and create your wealth map. And you can see on screen here, this is a mind map, and it puts everything on one page like you've never seen it before. And we go through and understand, where are you in your life right now? Have you got a family, any particular interests and desires, any particular assets that you really would love to learn more about and focus on? And then looking at the protection you've got in your life, which we spoke about the roof earlier, and understanding the leverage that exists within the assets you already own and any income streams you're currently generating. And when we've got all of that information, then it becomes much, much easier to identify the opportunities.
It's a bit like a CAT scan. I use this whenever I do accelerator calls. If I've got the map, I can immediately, just because of years of experience, kind of zip through people's different assets, their liabilities, their thoughts, their wealth dynamics, which I know we haven't talked about now, which is a psychometric tool, helps us understand what keeps you in flow, what kind of person you are. And then once you've got that insight from somebody else, that sometimes you don't see it for yourself, but definitely, we got our coaching community, and we'll get into what coaching looks like, but also to let you know that we know how to do this, and we're able to help see things that you don't see for yourself, make distinctions you're not making for yourself.
That's right. And if you decide that you'd like to become a member of the Academy, then you'll get access to one of our wealth coaches and monthly one-to-one coaching call. And here's our coaches on screen here. Toby recently won the Property Investor of the Year award. All of our coaches are highly experienced in all of these different areas.
Yes. In addition, there's obviously you, there's me. We've got 2 new coaches joining because we're always needing to expand the number as our membership numbers improve as well. So I'm very proud of our coaches, and to be honest, they don't do it for the money. They don't. Most of them have been through the program, like Toby, like John, like Carol, and they've been through the process. So they understand exactly what the process that we're teaching, and they understand how to pass it on to you.
We've also put together a very clear and easy to follow online resource, which you can go through at your own convenience in your own time. And this is a combination of videos, of audios, of downloads, checklists. You can print things off. And this really complements your monthly coaching call as well, to make sure that you're following a clear path. Every week, we bring experts to talk about different strategies in detail. So if you're interested in learning about something new, then jump on one of these sessions. And that could be across business or e-commerce or property, or learning how to use your pension more effectively. And these are recorded as well. So if you're busy, you're at work, then you can always catch up again at your own time. So networking events. We love to meet face to face. There's nothing like actually shaking hands, having a glass of wine. And so we do regular trainings across the UK where you can meet your fellow members, your fellow peers, and the coaches as well. Experiences. Now, here's where the fun really happens. And this is where we get together in nice locations, or perhaps on a site visit.
Yeah, so we love to shake hands, but we also love to clink a glass every now and again. Well, particularly me anyway. And so love to do that. Love to meet people, have a bite to eat, but also we love to dress up like a kid again and go and see sites, look and see what other people are doing, whether it's with their pension. We've got a big SaaS community, now something like 5,000 strong. Lots and lots of people sharing for reasons of being in the same community, our members will invite you to see what they're doing, and often just simply because they want you to be inspired by what they're doing. Not for money, not for profit, just simply because they're part of the community.
Community you mentioned there, Kevin. So we've got the online community, the offline community, we've got WhatsApp groups, and we've got a support desk. Really important, because you never know when you might just need an answer really quickly, or you might need a connection to a professional. Then you can drop us a message and our team will get back to you really promptly to help you. And talking about professionals and perhaps needing connections, this is a really key part of what we do at Wealth Builders.
Well, the who not how culture says, look, we are the only holistic wealth building organization in the UK, but we're not the experts in everything. So we'll call on, like a GP would call on a specialist. It's just a sample of different things that you may need on your wealth building journey, whether it's legal, whether it's more knowledge, whether it's some software, whether it's tax advice, whether it's structural advice, whether it's to really plug into the program to help share information and knowledge with your family. All of those things are there, and we negotiate discounts or benefits, almost like a credit system where as you go through the program, you're earning credits towards getting access to something else that will help you, not just save time and money, but also to accelerate you, because there are other communities. I suppose somebody else's knowledge and distinctions can just make sure you're not making a mistake. And we put years and years of time to find the right people, the trusted people that we believe are outstanding at what they do. And I spend my time trying to expand that and to build that, and to one of our directors to keep tabs on everything, just to make sure that everybody's getting great value in terms of service and great value in terms of money.
We often get asked, I've got a partner, wife, husband, spouse, can they join? And absolutely they can, because we want this to be a family wealth plan. Don't just take our word for it though. Go and check us out online. Head to Trustpilot and you'll see over 300 5-star reviews. Take your time, read through them. You'll see that our members have been getting absolutely fantastic results, as we've shared some of them with you, but there's plenty more online. So here's the pricing for the Academy. The investment, £249 plus VAT per month. That gets you access to absolutely everything that we've shown you, your personal coaching, your group coaching, the roadmap, the online education, and all of the community and support. And we offer a 30-day money-back guarantee with that. It's a minimum 12-month term, because we know it takes that time to really get the plan bedded in and working.
The first month is bedding in. The second month is getting familiar with the language. The whole process takes time. You cannot rush it, just like farming. You've got to let the planting and the nurturing work. Now, in truth, just to make it clear, so we're not hiding anything here, it will take you about 3 years. So if you join us and you work with us for 3 years, and I'll tell you the guarantees in a moment, that means you might spend over the course of 3 years, £9,000 of your money. But if you were at university spending £9,000, or your kids are, for 1 year with no guarantee, when you see what we're guaranteeing the result. We're guaranteeing that you will reach financial security.
The first guarantee is a 30-day full refund. If you're not completely happy with your first month for any reason, let us know and we'll give you your money back. No problem.
Yeah, this only works if it works for you. We're not trying just to get money without the result. We want the result. We need the result. Everything depends on the result. A Trustpilot show we get results. So absolutely committed to this. And I put my personal name and reputation on the line here, not just in the first 30 days, but beyond that as well.
So our second guarantee is the 90-day personal support guarantee. We'll work with you to create your plan. We'll look at the right assets for you, the right strategies, look at your points of leverage. And you should be really clear within the first 90 days on what your plan is moving forward to achieve that financial security target in 3 years. And if you don't feel clear, and Kevin, you've kindly offered to step in and have a one-to-one call.
And get that wealth map out. And we go CAT scanning to find a solution and get you on track. And that's my personal commitment to do that. I love doing it. Don't like to do it too often because it means people are getting stuck, and I don't like that feeling. So we don't allow you to get stuck.
And the third and final guarantee, now this is a biggie.
Yeah, we guarantee you will reach financial security. And if within the 3 years that we think it will take, if you haven't achieved the figure that you told us you wanted, we will continue to work with you entirely free of charge. Stick by your side, help you to get to that objective. So in other words then, if you join Wealth Builders and stay the course, you will be wealthy. And would you rather spend a few £1,000s in 3 years to get to a place where you build from security into independence? Or would you rather go back to work, do what you're doing normally, save money and hope for the best, and one day, someday, hope the stock market doesn't crash and join a rat race or whatever race like everybody else and struggle? Which is, I hope you don't do that. I hope you understand I'm very serious about making sure you get the result. But you do have to be a right fit. And there are some questions we ask of anybody once they've joined to make sure they will be a right fit. So the 30 days guarantee, the 3 months guarantee, and the 3-year guarantee. So we just hope you can see it should be a no-brainer. And, with good effort, you'll get to where you want to get to. So I hope that's clear.
I'd really love to see you inside the Wealth Builders Academy. Kevin, any final words from yourself before we sign off?
Yeah, I think sometimes there's a life-changing opportunity, and wherever you build your wealth, please just make the decision to build assets. Don't build work. It will change your life completely if you can find it. And whether you resonate with Wealth Builders or not is up to you. But do please find a way not to carry on just working, trading time for money, but to build gradually assets that will transform your life and allow you to look after yourself, look after your family, whatever the economic circumstances are.
See ya.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget that we are constantly updating our resources inside the Wealth Builders membership site to help you create, build, and protect your wealth. Head over to wealthbuilders.co.uk/membership right now for free access. That's wealthbuilders.co.uk/membership.